I'd like to ask you a question. What are you willing to sacrifice for the sake of the gospel? Canonized on October 14th, 2018, today marks the feast of St. Oscar Romero. St. Oscar was the Archbishop of San Salvador in El Salvador from 1977 until the day of his assassination on March 24th, 1980. I've had the privilege to make a pilgrimage to see the church where he was slain. I've been able to pray at his tomb. I've seen the simple apartment where he lived. More importantly, though, I've been able to see the fruits of his witness in the friends that I've made in El Salvador who continue to struggle for the rights of the poor and the marginalized. He once said, "A church that does not provoke any crisis, preach a gospel that does not unsettle, proclaim a word of God that does not get under anyone's skin, or a word of God that does not touch the real sin of a society in which it's being proclaimed. What kind of gospel is that?" Now, he definitely got under the skin of those in power. In fact, it was his advocacy and love for the poor that led to his assassination. When the powers that be are confronted with the gospel, as Romero did, they tend to respond by killing such prophets. In Jesus' Sermon on the Plain in Luke's Gospel, Jesus even suggests that this type of persecution is the only real way we know that we are on the right path of following him. Now, Romero did not get to this point immediately. He came to recognize the cost of discipleship through a life of prayer, a commitment to the sacraments, and an abiding love for the poor. Now, most of us will not be put to death for our faith, but that doesn't absolve us from responding to Jesus' call in ways that unsettle the world around us. Every day we are called to acts of love. We are called to be witnesses to the gospel in a world which often rejects such values. Yes, most of us will likely not be asked to sacrifice our lives. But what are we willing to sacrifice for the gospel? Our good name? Our money? Our security? Our privilege? As we come to the conclusion of Lent, I pray that we can all look upon the life of St. Oscar and see not an unattainable goal which we cannot achieve and therefore dismiss, but rather an example of a life that answers the call of Christ, no matter what the cost, a life willing to go where it led, to bring a light into darkness in our broken world, without fear, full of hope, with love in our hearts.